Hey everybody, welcome to the new vlog. Uh, Thank you to everybody for the responses you gave me on my last vlog, asking for help as to content for the channel. And this vlog, as you can tell by the channel, is a result of that feedback. Today we're going to talk about my artistic past, where I came from and how I got to where I am today. Um, a lot to go over. I'm going to try to keep it brief, kind of like a point form. You're going to see me looking over to the side a little bit, and that's because I have some notes. Okay, so where do I start? Um, how did I've always been creative. Ever since I was a little child, I was drawing constantly. I've mentioned the tub. It's sitting right there. It's about that deep, and it's all sketchbooks. Um, some of them are from when I'm younger, some of them are from when I'm older. But so yeah, I've always draw. Lego was another big thing. I was huge into Lego, building blocks, anything that was creative. Um, it wasn't until I got a little bit older that I started getting into cars, and I was into cars from very young. I've got pictures of me where I'm surrounded by cars. Um, the other thing I'm going to try to do as I'm talking here is I'm going to try to put some of the examples of what I'm talking about, like artwork. If I can find a picture of myself with cars, I'll post it. Um, but yeah, so I didn't start getting into graphic design until about 1998. I got a hold of Photoshop 7 through work. I got a free copy through the computer store that I was a salesman for. And I started messing around with it, doing photo editing, that sort of thing. Very basic stuff. And I continued that for a while. I always was messing around in Photoshop, learning how to do photo editing, color texture, color um, changes, and adding adjustment layers, on photos to clean them up and stuff because I love to take photos. That's another thing. I love photography, which I would like to do more of, but I don't have the equipment for it right now. I had a class, which I will talk about a little later. In my interactive media design course, there was a photography class. I got an A+ in it, and I love it. If I can find some photographs, I'll post them up for you. So graphic design, I did that kind of like teaching myself. And then I started to heavily get into computers, to the point where in 2000, like I self-taught myself computers. And it wasn't until you're going to see keep interrupting myself. You're going to see a trend here. I tend to teach myself everything. If I want to know something, I teach myself. I didn't do well in school. I didn't even graduate high school. Like I barely started high school, put it that way. So structured education doesn't work for me. That's why when I went to college, when when I was 44, which I'll talk about a little later, I was surprised I did so well because I hate structure. College is a little different. And as a mature student, it was a little different. But yeah, anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, I got into the computers about 2001. I got into a course at Trios here in London, and I took the network engineering course. Again, structured school, didn't do well. I just didn't. I was 4 months from graduation, and I found myself a really nice position in a local computer store, so I took that. And I didn't even bother going back for the rest of my school. I got certificates in A+, Network+, Unix. I got 2 Unix certs. I got my Novell cert, and I think I got 1 Microsoft. But that was it. I didn't care for the schooling part of it. I aced all of my courses. I did really well, but I just didn't like it. So when I found this job, I quit school to get the job because I was learning more on the job than I was at school, if that makes sense. I didn't need the diploma. It didn't mean anything to me at the time. So anyway, so I did that. And then some things happened in my life. I won't get into the personal stuff. I'm going to try to stick to my artistic stuff. Some personal stuff happened where I started to focus more on my art again. And I was doing computer stuff still. Like I was bench tech for a few places. I was a service manager for a couple places. I led a bunch of teams. I worked for TD Bank, did a lot of conversion stuff where we go in and completely refit all new computers in the banks and Walmarts and stuff like that. So I did that for a while. And then I really started to get into art. I started to get into graphic design pretty heavily. I self-taught myself t-shirt design. That was the next thing I did. And I did well at it. I mean, I love t-shirt design. I don't have time for it nowadays. And there's just so many people out there doing it now. So it's very competitive. And then from the t-shirt, that led into digital coloring because I got a Cintiq at that point because I'm not a very good artist. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a copy artist. I copy stuff. That's why working in Substance and ZBrush is good for me because I'm using concept art as a reference and then I just copy that onto a 3D model, right? So working in Substance and ZBrush is perfect for me because I'm a copy artist. I can't draw things like I can draw simple stuff. I'll talk about my card games later on. I can draw very simple stuff, but nothing complex. Anatomy is a big thing for me. I can't do anatomy well. So I'm hoping ZBrush will teach me anatomy because it's a 3D space. Maybe I'll pick it up better than 2D. I don't know. I tend to do better in 3D space than I do 2D anyway. If you notice a lot of my graphic design, it's very 3D looking. I don't like flat graphic design. A lot of my stuff is very 3D. It's almost 2.5D or 3D. So digital coloring, I went nuts with it. I went on DeviantArt, all over the internet, and I got as much line art as I could, and I colored until the point where I was sick of it. And learning what I could, taking free online courses where I could, just coloring. I was probably coloring 50, 60 hours a week to try to get the experience that I needed and to build up my skill set. And then people started taking notice and I started getting commissions. People, oh, you color this for $5, you color this for $10. I started doing all that. And then once that started I started getting picked up by independent comic book places. So I can't say the names because a lot of them aren't in business anymore. And a lot of the comics I worked on never got published. These were all independent guys that wanted to make it big in the comic base, and they never made it. So I did that. There was one comic I did a lot of volunteer coloring for the Nova 316 project. If I can find the link, I'll put it in the description. And if I can find a piece of art, I'll throw it up on the screen so you can see it. And then that's when I met Diel Maffet. He was a guy that was working on a 70s style superhero comic called Soul of a Hero. The main character is called Hell Yeah. And very cool retro comic, very cool art style. And he asked me to color the pages for him. So I did. I think we got all of issue 1 done and most of issue 2 done. And then he decided that he was going to revamp it all. But again, if I have some stuff, I'll throw it up on the screen. I'll even throw a link in the description. I think his site is still up. I'm not 100% sure. If not, I'll put his portfolio site at least. Oh, Kitty. Hey, Kitty. So yeah, I did a lot of splashes, covers, and then I got The Soul of a Hero. The other book I did with DL was called RJ and Regan in Space. It was a Christian-based space exploration thing. So I will put that in there as well if I have it. Okay, just my screen just went black for a minute. I hope it's still working. Okay, sorry about that, guys. My computer. I did a format on my computer the other day, and things are still weird. It just went into screensaver turned on for some reason. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I did. And then while I was doing that, I was working on my graphic design even more. I was refining it, and I was learning how to do branding. That was the big thing. And then that's when I started working on Stupid, which was my very first card game. Stupid, if you don't know, I will, again, put a link in the description. A lot of links in this one. I play a lot of RPGs and a lot of card games. That's where, because I'm creative, right? So I played, let me see, Rage, Star Trek, Star Wars, Magic the Gathering. That's a big one. Pokemon, Lord of the Rings, name it. I've played it. I've played pretty much every major card game out there. So I took all the best parts of all those card games and I made my own. And it's called Stupid, The Glorious Absence of Common Sense. The best way I could describe it is Rednecks, Magic Rednecks. It plays very similar to Magic the Gathering, but it's way different. You don't have mana or anything. The main theme is it's the reason I called it Stupid was because I didn't want the game to have a cage or a barrier as to what I could put in the game. I wanted to put anything I wanted in the game. If I want to put aliens, superheroes, garbage man, crazy cat lady, it doesn't matter. If I wanted to be able to put anything I wanted in the game. That's why I called it Stupid. Now, if I called it Redneck or something else, then I would have been limited to redneck stuff, right? The other thing about Stupid is that it is chocked full of pulp culture references from my youth. It's all in there. So it's currently got the main core set, and it's got Brain Dead, and it's got the Ghost deck. And then I'm working on the second major expansion called District 51, which is a play on Area 51, right? So that I did. And it did okay. I published that in 2015, and it did okay. I didn't sell thousands of copies or anything, but it did okay. And then around 2016, this is where it gets cool. That's when I decided that my skills were at a point where I thought I was good enough to do what I wanted to do, but I didn't have the credentials behind me. So I decided to go back to school. And I chose interactive media design because a lot of the classes fell into my skill set already, right? But there was a little added thing. There was web design was in there. I'd done some web design in the past. I made a couple web pages for people. But I didn't know any of the really heavy stuff. So I did have some web design experience. The other big thing that the course had was motion design, which is something I really wanted to learn because I wanted to do YouTube, right? So I was taught Cinema 4D, which is the big program in the advertising industry. It's the one program, baseball, football, any kind of sporting event, all those fancy player things that pop on the screen with all the animation and all. That's all done in cinema, right? And then there was After Effects. So the two went hand in hand. And that's the two things that I got hooked on. Was After Effects and cinema. I got introduced to 3D. I'd played with Blender in the past, but Cinema 4D, the way I was taught it, I picked it up immediately. And I went bananas with it. I spent more time in it. Because I spent so much time in it, my coding classes suffered. So I was getting like A's and A pluses in all my design courses, but I was getting like C's and D's in my code, which I didn't care because I wasn't going to be a coder. Coding doesn't interest me at all. It just, I don't like coding. It's not visual. I like things that are visual, and coding is very not visual. Now, I do have all the necessary skills to build pages. Like I build all the graphics for it, all the UI elements, all that stuff. Like I can do all the mock-ups, like the page mock-ups to show you how the page will look. I can hand those off to the coder and then he makes it. But yeah, so yeah, there's that. Now, last semester of my course, I need internship hours. And this is where I have no idea what I'm going to do, because at this point, I've put applications out to a bunch of places and I haven't even gotten a call at this point. So I came across Missing Worlds Media, and they were looking for volunteers for their City of Titans project. And I had sent a message prior to that asking if they needed anybody for graphic design, and I never ever got an answer. So I sent this time one for 3D design because I knew that they were asking for it. So I immediately got an email back from somebody. I think it was Cabot at the time. And he's like, dude, yeah, we definitely need your help. I talked to him, told him about my graphic design experience. And that's where they started me. That's where I was. Most of my energy was into the graphic design. I built the class icons are all my work. A lot of the, I've shown videos on this. They're in my channel. You can go and see all the videos. But I did a lot of the graphic design. But then I slowly started moving over into doing 3D props, weapons, that sort of stuff. And then I got introduced to to Substance Painter, and I started doing patterns and detail work, and graphic design kind of got left behind. And then they got somebody else on the team, and he started taking that over, and he worked under me for a while, and I brought him up to speed, and then he took over. And there's a cat prancing in front of my camera. Thanks, kitty. Yeah, I think everybody would like. Yeah, you want to say hi to everybody? Yeah. So yeah, that's how I ended up with Missing Worlds Media. I've been with them now for 3.5 years, and I don't see any sign of stopping. Things are starting to really ramp up, guys. There is a massive update coming. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's pretty big. They're working tirelessly in the background on it. Meanwhile, I am doing my best to show you guys the work I'm working on, to give you something to have to look at, keep you distracted, I guess. But yeah, that's my artistic background. And I'm not stopping. I'm learning ZBrush to max possibility. I'm going to be learning how to rig and weight at some point. I want to go back to Stupid for a minute. There was a time, and if you can go on my channel, you can see there's videos on there, where we tried to do a digital version of Stupid. And we got pretty far. We got an actual working prototype for the game. But then my coder was having some life issues, and he couldn't continue. So that's been put on hold. But during that process, I self-taught myself Unreal Engine. Again, this is the theme. I self-teach myself everything. And the main point of this vlog is to give you some background on me, but to also inspire you out there. You don't need college education to make it in this world. You don't. There's things out there that you can self-teach yourself and get to a level where you can be functional in it and competent without having to get some fancy college or university degree. Now, there are some stuff out there you need it, like being a lawyer or a doctor or a nurse, whatever. You need college for that. But for normal stuff like what we do, like artistic stuff, you don't need to go to school for that stuff. There was a guy in my class, never been to school a day in his life other than high school, I think. And the man could draw. I'd never seen anybody. He could pick up a pencil and draw anything in 5 minutes. Just some people are good. And I asked him, I said, have you always been this good? He says, no. I practiced until my fingers were bleeding to get this good. And that's the misconception. Some people, they see a person at the level they are and they say, oh, well, he must have just, been a protege or something. There's a lot of people out there that are extremely incredible at some things that have to put in the hours. They don't just automatically know how to do it. So I think that's a misconception. I want to clear that up a little bit if I can. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. A little behind the peak curtain of my artistic life. You can see back there, if I turn my head this way, those two shirts, those are Soul of the Hero designs. I colored both of those. The poster above it I didn't do. But yeah, I will try to post some work up along the video. If I haven't already, you've probably seen it already because I've edited it. But yeah, again, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this has given you some inspiration to continue doing what you're doing. You can do it. Just put the time in. You're not going to be the best at whatever you're doing if you don't put the time in. A gentleman that I used to watch on YouTube all the time, C.T. Fletcher. Look him up on YouTube. Most inspirational man I've ever met. He's a bodybuilder, right? He used to be a strongman guy. He used to be world record bench press. And he has a saying, you're never going to be good at something unless you become obsessed with it. You have to be obsessed with the thing that you want to be good at, or you're never going to be good at it. And I totally believe that. I was obsessed with digital coloring, graphic design, obsessed with Substance Painter, ZBrush. I'm in ZBrush every day because I'm trying to get better at it. And that's what you have to do. Just push. Even when you don't feel like it, open it up, throw a cube or a square and, or open a document and just sketch. I mean, it doesn't have to be a world renowned piece every time you sit down in front of your sketch pad or in front of your computer or, even just playing your drums or tapping the piano. Whatever you do, everything you do doesn't have to be world renowned. You're allowed to practice at it, right? Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you very much for watching and all the support. And if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button and like button. And we'll see you later out there, right? Bye for now.